Hello everyone, my name is Kushal Ingde and today we will learn about the G protein coupled receptor. In short, it is called as the GPCR. Now, first of all, about its introduction. As we know that this G protein coupled receptor is also called as the 7 transmembrane domain. Why it is called as the 7 transmembrane domain? Because this receptor actually it is passing through the plasma membrane for the 7 times. So there are 6 loops are there. So these loops they combine this receptor that is known as the G protein coupled receptor. The other reason behind the calling that is G protein coupled receptor is that this receptor is coupled or it is involved with a special protein that is known as the G protein. So in this today's lecture we will learn all these things about this GPCR, that is G protein coupled receptor. Other specialty of this G protein is that these G protein coupled receptors are only found in eukaryotic cells. These G protein coupled receptors they having a vast diversity. For example, that they can be light sensitive, they can identify, they can detect the hormones, they can identify neurotransmitters, or they can identify the pheromones, etc. So all these ligand, all these molecules can interact with these receptors. So as I told you that when these G protein coupled receptor activate, they will produce the signal. That signal will be nothing but it will be the intracellular signal. So there are two main pathways are involved in the production of this signal transduction. So first one, that is cyclic AMP generation or cyclic AMP signal pathway, and the second one is that phosphatidylinositol signal pathway. We will learn in more detail about these two pathways. The first pathway in which the cyclic AMP is produced, and the second one that is IP3, that is inositol triphosphate is generated. So as I said that these G protein coupled receptor they are present within the plasma membrane, and when the ligand molecule binds with this receptor, at the time this receptor undergoes the activation and it will activate the next protein that is called as the G protein. This G protein is made up of the 3 different subunits, that is alpha, beta and the gamma. So among these 3 subunits, the alpha subunit is bound with the GDP. So when this G protein, particularly that alpha subunit, is attached or bound with this GDP, at the time it remains deactivate or inactive. But when the ligand molecule bind with the receptor, at that time this G protein, that receptor undergoes the conformational change and it will activate the G protein. So particularly the GDP of that alpha subunit will be released and this GDP will be replaced by the GTP. As soon as when the alpha subunit attached or that GDP of the alpha subunit is replaced by the GTP, at the time again the alpha subunit becomes active and this alpha subunit will remain detached or it will be separated from the 2 subunit, that is beta and the gamma. That alpha subunit after that will activate the target protein. That target protein will carry out the consequences within that cell and it will carry out the cascade. That cascade means it is the sequence of reactions. So as I said that this target protein may be the, for example, adenylate cyclase. So if this alpha subunit activate the adenylate cyclase, that enzyme adenylate cyclase or the target protein actually it is bound with the plasma membrane. So after the activation of the adenylate cyclase, that adenylate cyclase will convert ATP into cyclic AMP. So in this way cyclic AMP will be produced more and more within the cytosol or the cytosolic part, and at this time this cyclic AMP will be called as or known as the secondary messenger. Now this cyclic AMP it is playing its role as a secondary messenger. This cyclic AMP will activate the further next protein that is called as the protein kinase. So number of protein kinases are there: protein kinase A, protein kinase B, protein kinase C. Obviously protein kinase C is not activated by the cyclic AMP, but here we will take only one example, that is protein kinase A. So when this cyclic AMP is formed, this cyclic AMP will activate the protein kinase A or pKa. This pKa is formed of 4 subunits. Out of these 4 subunits, 2 subunits are known as the catalytic subunits and 2 subunits are known as the regulatory subunits. So this cyclic AMP binds with the regulatory subunits. After the binding with cyclic AMP, regulatory subunits undergoes the conformational change and it will release the catalytic subunits. These 2 catalytic subunits again further will activate the other substrate protein. Actually, this substrate protein undergoes the phosphorylation. So this sequence of the reaction will be carried out, and finally it will result within the either phosphorylation of the number of the proteins, and finally it will show any cellular response or any type of the gene expression. On the other hand, if you see in case of the phosphatidyl inositol bisphosphate, that is PIP2, this PIP2 or phosphatidyl inositol bisphosphate, actually it is the membrane bound compound. This compound, when activated by the G protein, particularly the alpha subunit of the G protein, as we have seen in earlier slide, that after the activation of the alpha subunit, this alpha subunit will activate the target protein. Here that protein or that compound, nothing but it is the PIP2 or the phosphatidyl inositol bisphosphate. So this PIP2 will be cleaved by this alpha subunit, and after the cleavage it will give the 2 products, that is DAG, that is diacylglycerol, and IP3, that is inositol triphosphate. So this IP3 again act as a secondary messenger like cyclic AMP. So this IP3 will bound with the endoplasmic reticulum. As we know that endoplasmic reticulum stores the calcium within the cytosol. That calcium concentration should be the very lower. That's why whatever the calcium is present in cytosol, that calcium it is stored in endoplasmic reticulum. In case of the muscle cells, in which we call that these are the sarcoplasmic reticulum. So sarcoplasmic reticulum stores the calcium. So when that IP3 attached or bound with the channel which are present on the endoplasmic reticulum, the channel will open and calcium will be released outside. Outside means within the cytosol. So in this way again this calcium will act as a further molecule to carry out the other reactions which is to be carried out within that cell. So in this way it was all about the G protein coupled receptor.